The first thing you want to do when you're going to buy a home is connect with a good real estate advisor and advocate. A good advisor is generally someone who you connect with due to the recommendation of a good friend. Buying a home is an emotional process. An advisor can help prepare you. You want to find an advisor that a friend of yours or a family member knows, likes, trusts, and feels like that advisor cares about them. Because if that advisor cares about your family member, the likelihood that they're going to care about you is much better. This is just much more likely with a friend's recommendation. You want someone who's going to be there after you move in to ensure that you have everything you need. And that may sound like a silly thing to say, but after you move in, that's when you find out that this doesn't work or that doesn't work and you need contractors and contacts. That's when you need an agent almost as much as getting into the home in the first place. It's going to save you time and money while making sure you don't miss out on any homes or buy a lemon in the long run. That is what a good advisor is for. Alternatively, you can use an internet advisor, which is a great option if you don't want to have any emotional connection to your advisor really at all. And one reason that you might choose to have an internet advisor, someone that you found off the internet that you don't know at all and you don't want to have a relationship with and doesn't want to have a relationship with you, it's going to be very transaction oriented, and maybe it's not your very first purchase. Maybe you've done this quite a few times and you just don't feel like you need the same hand holding and you don't need that same connection. You don't really need to know what's going on all the time with the transaction because you know that you are going to negotiate it one way or another and everything's going to be fine in the end for you. You don't need to feel like you're being taken care of by an advisor because a $500,000 purchase just isn't that big of a deal to you. Maybe you move hundreds or even millions of dollars around all the time, and a $500, $600, $700 million purchase is just not that big of a deal. Maybe you're an attorney, for instance. You don't need any of the resources after the purchase because you're handy, or you know lots of contractors, or you just feel comfortable finding the contractors on your own. Those are some of the reasons why you might use an internet advisor. That you basically what I'm saying is a real estate agent you found off the internet and you don't know anything about them otherwise. The last option is to buy a home without a real estate advisor at all. If you're going to buy a house without an advisor at all, it's up to you to do all of the negotiations, handle all of the contracts, and deal with all that stuff. It's good to know that you will be on your own for this because if you're asking for advice from the selling agent, more often than not, they're going to tell you no because that creates an implicit agency with them between you and them. In other words, if you're asking the seller's agent for advice and they're giving you answers, they're basically acting like your agent, and that puts them on the hook for whatever they've told you. So most agents are going to tell you that they can't tell you anything at all, and you're going to have to be on top of the transaction yourself, do all the negotiating, take care of all of the contracts. That's totally up to you. One thing that you will hear really often is that you should shop your mortgage. You should shop around for the best mortgage. And I think what a lot of people take from that is that you want to find the best, lowest interest rate. A low interest rate is a really good thing, for sure. But that might not be the most important thing when you're shopping for a lender. The more important thing might be how much it's going to cost to originate the loan with that lender. Not the interest rate, but how much cash to close you're going to need to buy the home. So my advice to you is going to be that a mortgage broker is pretty much always going to be the very best deal. Find a good mortgage broker and you will most likely have found the best deal. Having said that, always make sure that their origination fees are going to be affordable and the best deal for you. Trust is really important because your lender and your advisor, your real estate advisor, work together hand in hand to get you into the home. The deadlines depend on a really strong game from the lender. For instance, if you are up against your financing and appraisal deadline, the time at which your earnest money becomes non-refundable, you really want to know that your lender has your back, that your lender is really dependable and someone that's on top of the ball. So the first thing you're gonna wanna do is connect with a real estate advisor. The second thing will be to connect with a lender. The third thing is to get pre-approved by that lender for your budget. The next step is to look at homes, really. When you start looking at homes, one of the most important considerations is going to be the price and location of the home, the property condition, and being picky about your must-haves, but knowing the difference from the must-haves and the wants. You want to think long-term, and you don't want to focus on cosmetic details. So price and location are really intimately connected. The better the location, the higher the price. The property condition is going to be something that you want to pay attention to, because sometimes it's easy to fall in love with the home and not consider the upkeep that's going to be involved. Maybe you love the home, but it needs a new $20,000 roof. And if you're stretching your budget just to get into the home, you're going to be walking into a $20,000 roof that you're going to have to finance somehow. Being picky about your must-haves is important, because in the long run, you will remember those must-haves, even if you compromise on them in the moment. Thinking long-term is a really great way to ensure that your home, that the place where you want to live, can also be something of an investment. So you don't focus on the cosmetic details. Really focus on, is this the location I want to be in? Does it have all of the things that I need it to? Are the bones good? Can I replace this or have that changed? And it will be exactly what I need. The next thing you want to do is make an offer. You need to know the market conditions, like, can you get some concessions, or do you have to go really hard to get your offer accepted? If you're shopping in Salt Lake City, you know throughout the pandemic, it has been something of a seller's market, and buyers have been getting hammered. It's been very difficult to be a buyer. You've had to offer quite a bit over asking price to get into the home you wanted. And now the interest rates have doubled, more or less. It's become much, much easier for buyers to get into a home. A lot of sellers are noticing that it's harder for buyers to get into the home, so they're offering to give them a little bit of money to buy down their interest rate, because they understand that right now prices are really high, so sellers are still getting really high prices on their homes, but interest rates are also really high, which is not usually the case. Usually you have high interest rates and low prices, or high prices and low rates. Once you have a good understanding of the market, keep in mind that as a buyer, you most likely are going to have a gut feeling that a certain home is the right home for you. It's also good to know that you're going to have a gut feeling about plenty of homes. There's not going to be just that one home. There will be other homes, but you should have the gut feeling, but also know that there are other homes that you'll have that about. Sounds kind of crazy, but it's just the case. Earnest money needs to be in your bank account so that you can get it to your real estate advisor within 4 calendar days of going under contract. So keep your calendar in mind when you're making your offer. You need to know about 4 weeks into the process where you're going to be throughout those 4 weeks, because you have deadlines throughout those 4 weeks where you need to be present. If you don't know what deadlines I'm talking about, watch my video about buying your first home, the contract, and it will tell you, break down all of the deadlines in great depth, what those deadlines mean, why they're important, when your money becomes non-refundable, everything you need to know about the contract deadlines. I'm Ryan Shupit with Active Utah Homes at Realty One Group Signature. On this channel, I teach you everything you need to know about buying and selling your first home.